Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. Maraming salamat po sa pagpunta nyo. And yes, we do give an e-certificate after this webinar. So thank you so much once again for joining with us today as we discuss how to expand your workflow with the Autodesk M&E Collection. So before we start, I would just like to introduce myself. I am Alyra Joy G. Alfonso. I am actually the sales executive handling renewals here at Autodesk. Okay, so let's wait for one more minute for everyone else to join. Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Once again, thank you for joining with us today. And welcome to the
Expanded Workflow with Autodesk M&E Collection here at WSI.
So before we begin, I would like
to introduce you
our
company,
Wordtext
Wordtext Systems Incorporated. Okay, Wordtext Systems Incorporated is the first IT solutions provider here in the Philippines. We carry not just Autodesk, but also a lot of other brands. If you have any needs of among any of these products, flash on the screen, please do let us know. So aside from Autodesk, we also cater to these products. We are located at Manila, Cebu, and Davao. Our main branch is here in Makati. We would also like to invite everybody to join and to click on our website, which is www.wordtext.com.ph to know more about our services. Also, please do follow our social media accounts. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Lastly, we would also like to invite everybody to come and visit our e-commerce site. This is the first pure IT-related e-commerce website, which is significant to Zalora and Lazada. So sana po mapuntahan niyo po yung site na yan. And if you have any need for all or any of the products that you have seen earlier, pwede niyo po puntahan yung site na yan and to place your orders over there. Before we begin, we would also like to let you know that the webinar is recorded and an email will be sent after the session to download the materials. You can also type your questions or answer in the chat box located in the side panel. Okay. Okay, so before we begin, I would like to introduce everybody to Mr. Jason Miguel Branal. Siya po ang ating technical expert for M&E Collection. So Migs, take it away.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. So let me just share my screen. Show my screen. All right, so again, guys, welcome to this webinar now for Autodesk M&E for customer success. So with this webinar, basically we will be talking about of course, the M&E collection. So most likely some of you have already subscribed or even had the chance to take a look about what softwares offered ng M&E collection. So I'll just provide a quick update on what softwares we have inside the collection. And after that one, I will be providing what software we'll be focusing for this session. So let me just go through with the next slides. All right, so if you are not familiar with what the collection offers, basically this is a more of a range ng mga products that has something to do with every single step inside a 3D animation production workflow. So of course, the M&E Collection boasts the flagship softwares of Autodesk. Namely, there's Maya, 3ds Max, our render engine, which is Arnold. So so just to clear up things now, with some other clients, they tend to misunderstand kung ano yung Arnold licenses na kasama ng M&E or Media and Entertainment Collection. So let me clear it up for our attendees today. So first off, with Maya and 3ds Max, of course, you have your plug-in Arnold license. Okay, there's plug-in. And then if you purchase an M&E Collection, you will be having 5 additional licenses. And para sa itong 5 additional licenses, these 5 licenses can be used for your render farms. No, these can be utilized for slave computers to actually help you to render your animations or your 3D models in a staggered way. No? So para kumbaga hindi nahihirapan ng isang workstation to address all the rendering issues or rendering needs. Another thing is there are also other softwares that utilize Arnold as their own render engine or as a render engine. Like there's Cinema 4D and all of the others. These 5 licenses can also be used in those other third-party softwares. Now, if you would like to check kung sakaling meron kayo ng mga ibang yun, you can just simply go to your search engines and type in there Solid Angle. So yun Solid Angle is the one that actually made Arnold. So before ma-purchase ni Autodesk, so lahat ng mga updates and of course the proprietary softwares na gumagamit ay nandoon sa website na yun. And also, it would also provide the updates that the newest version has something to offer. Okay, so let's just go continue. No? The one with the pencil logo is what we call the Sketchbook or Sketchbook Pro. Next, we have Motion Builder. This one is for motion capturing. So if you're into specifically animation, whether it's 3D animation or something that you invest in motion capture, Motion Builder can help you to get those finer movements from your actors. Okay, the next one is Mudbox, which is our main sculpting software inside the M&E Collection. The one that has an R logo or R Pro is Recap Pro. Ito po yung ginagamit to process yung mga 3D assets that came from scanned files. No? Ito yung mga 3D scan. So whether you use 3D scanner cameras or drones to scan specific locations and even the smallest object, po pwede natin yung i-transfer sa Recap Pro, and then the file from Recap Pro, although I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but somehow all of the needed details and necessary surfaces will be actually processed by Recap Pro. And last one, we have Character Generator. Now with this, I wouldn't suggest na if you're into characters wherein you create your own or something that you will be basing from another design or a design that's given to you. Si Character Generator, hindi siya yung kumbaga best way to approach that workflow. Character Generator is simply there to provide population. So ano tong population? Ito yung mga generic na characters no, na pwede nating gamitin as pamparami dun sa scene natin if it's needed. All right? So basically guys, this is the M&E Collection. All right. If you have any questions or if you needed clarifications, please let us know through the question box dyan sa right side ng screen nyo. And of course, may chat din tayo. So you can type it in your questions. Or if you need any inquiries regarding this, you can also forward that to us. Now, to continue on. All right, so for M&E collection, this is actually a way for Autodesk to provide an end-to-end creative tool or tool set for our end users. So not necessarily you have to be, let's say, on a production house or a TV network or basically an animation studio, but you'll be able to find bits and pieces of softwares that can be actually applicable into your own workflow. No? Like for example, if you're into motion graphics, Maya and 3ds Max now offers tool sets that can be actually be very helpful for those who do motion graphics or special effects. In that sense, that can be actually in work with or kumbaga to be compatible with, let's say, Adobe After Effects or Adobe Premiere. So the term end-to-end is not necessarily saying that everything is actually inside the M&E collection. But the term end-to-end is basically referring into the 3D space or the 3D animation workflow. We won't basically say na lahat ng needed tools for editing also is inside this. We can do editing, but other purpose-built softwares, let's say for video editing, will surely be compatible with the tools that we provide here at the M&E Collection. So the M&E Collection also, hindi lang siya para doon sa people who are basically under the media and entertainment industry. Now, if you're someone who is from the architecture industry or the interior design industry, it would be very much be very helpful or some way or in some way innovative pagdating sa way that you can present your projects. No, even though 3ds Max is actually present on the other Autodesk collections like AEC and DNM, basically the M&E collection can also provide you know, a much better way into presenting and as well as processing your 3D models. No, it's mas magandang paraan, mas direct yung tools since the focus of the M&E collection is basically for animation. It's gonna be much more direct in a sense that what you're envisioning is mas madali nating na-achieve kasi freeform yung mga softwares. You can do all kinds of animations, camera movements, you can modify your materials, you can modify your lights, your settings, your environments. So lahat ng yun, pwede nating mas, kumbaga, the term is to modify or mas makalikot pa natin para mas mapaganda natin yung ating mga presentations. Okay? So, another thing with the M&E collection is the thing that we can actually use this end-to-end tool sets to actually place them into the specific positions in our workflows. So we have proven tools like Maya, 3ds Max, and Arnold that can be placed as something that we can actually use in our production from pre-production to production and post-production. Although the post-production would most likely involve other editing softwares. But with the pre-production, we also have Sketchbook, wherein you can create your drafts and your concept arts. And kung sakaling positive yung result or yung feedback with these drafts, you can easily translate or import that file from Sketchbook to Autodesk Maya or 3ds Max. Another thing is you can actually modify your your creations by not just relying on Maya or 3ds Max. So that's where Motion Builder and Modbox is gonna come in. First off, you can modify or further improve your animations using Motion Builder. With the looks of your 3D assets and your basically everything that is 3D can be retopologized or further improved yung kanilang quality using Modbox. All right, with the so let's keep Modbox in our mind for a while kasi siya yung pag-uusapan natin maya-maya. Another thing is, syempre, given the current situation around the world, so basically the term na new normal was present way back 2020. So a year later after the first lockdown, mas nagiging persistent yung trend to actually move yung ating mga softwares and move yung ating mga workflows through the cloud. So isa siya sa mga new normal parameter na dapat na unti-unting tanggapin ng ating mga companies. So with Autodesk being one of the pioneers of providing cloud services, so the collection, and same goes with the other collections from Autodesk, are actually providing you cloud services. No? So kung hindi nyo po alam, meron po kayong mga specific cloud services under your Autodesk accounts. So you can check with your Autodesk account or your administrator or your contract managers to check kung ano yung mga possible na cloud services na provided ni Autodesk that you can likely use within your workflow. All right, so yeah, remember nasabi ko kanina si Mudbox. So with Mudbox and of course with the current trend, even though kung magtanong man ako kung may aamin o wala, pero these two are actually, on the top of the food chain pagdating sa sculpting or digital sculpting and sa pag-create ng materials. Now, the only thing that is gonna be some way a problem that we might face is dagdag silang cost, right? If you're a current M&E user or M&E Collection subscriber, this is gonna be another cost with ZBrush and with Substance Painter. Although we have actually prepared yung mga softwares natin to work with these two. The problem with that is just the cost na involved. Now, syempre with the thing that these two provide, minsan hindi na natin pinapansin, no? Sige, okay lang yung cost, kaya naman nating i-cover yan. But it also poses an issue pagdating sa budgeting natin. Kasi padagdag tayo na padagdag. Okay? Without knowing that the M&E collection that you currently have actually provides, a service or a tool wherein you can actually attack ZBrush and Substance Painter at the same time. Ibig sabihin, you can sculpt and you can create your material with the use of Autodesk Modbox. Now, if you haven't seen or if you haven't checked with your Autodesk accounts, most likely hindi nyo po napansin, pero Autodesk Modbox 2022 was released, I think, just last week. All right, so on to productivity on 2021. So with this, kung hindi po kayo familiar kay Modbox, it is a sculpt and paint, highly detailed 3D geometry and texture software. So with Modbox, basically digital sculpting and texture painting, which kapag pinaghiwalay po natin is talking about ZBrush and talking about Substance Painter. But it comes within your M&E collection. No, so if you're currently using Maya and you go back and forth with the other softwares, first of all, that's time consuming. At the same time, of course, the cost. But without knowing, you have Modbox in your arsenal, and you can just simply open that up, plug it in with its direct tools that actually is kind of the same thing with the tools that's present with Substance and with ZBrush. Mas nagiging mabilis yung inyong productivity. Okay, so to just bring you guys up to speed, um, since Mudbox is very direct, Autodesk has provided quite a few updates with the last version. So now we have the new Relax brush, wherein with this one, yung mga tools natin or yung mga brush natin can be not adjusted, can be adjusted and hindi siya magpo-provide ng harsh na mga results kapag tayo ay nag-create ng modifications. Specifically, doon sa pag 3D sculpt. Okay, another thing that is new within Modbox is what we call the twist tool. So the twist tool is actually found in the grab tool, okay, for sculpting and can be used to rotate different components on your model. So this can be used if merong present na multiple objects sa design ninyo or specific parts nung inyong 3D model. Okay, so before I proceed with the Modbox software, so I'll just first show you guys a video over here of what Modbox is all about. Okay, so mukhang wala siyang sounds, no? Pero yeah, basically the tools over here are divided into specific categories. So if you're more into, like this one, the texture painting, so nakahiwalay din yan. We have different kinds of materials that we can use, like stamps and stencils. We can also create our textures directly. And what's good thing about this is later on ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano natin sila madaling mako-compile in a sense that we can reuse them into multiple other softwares. And of course, blend shapes. No? So dun sa mga animators, this is very familiar with you guys. Another thing is retopology. It's kind of easier now with Modbox because of the direct access from your softwares like Maya and 3ds Max. And what's good thing is by level to. So the level of details can be dropped or even upgraded into more polys. So, and of course, symmetrical. All right, so guys, if you have any questions, please do type it in dun sa ating chat box, and then while I transfer to Mudbox. All right, so if you don't have any questions, so siguro mag-proceed na lang ako with Modbox 2022. So first of all, I welcome you to the Modbox interface. So if you're not familiar with this software, so ito po yung kanyang interface. Now, it actually is very similar to Autodesk Maya and of course 3ds Max. So yeah, we have one questions. From Angela, if using Modbox can generate maps and other a diffuse map and other maps. Yes. Later on, I'll create or actually I'll show you a workflow, a simple workflow. No, it might be not professionally done, pero it is kind of the basic workflow structure na pwede nating sundan with using Modbox. So I do recommend you guys to check with your contract managers or even your Autodesk accounts to check if meron kayong Modbox, and then you can try it out. Maybe try it out with basic shapes like this one, itong cube, and try out yung mga stencils or mga stamps and even the different kinds of brushes na meron sa loob ng Modbox. Question, when Modbox has been introduced? Actually, the Modbox is introduced way back. Medyo matagal na siya na software. So it kind of falls out lang on the softwares na nababanggit. Kasi typically the workflows or other softwares that are circling around the industry is basically softwares that could work with the flagships. Like for example, we have V-Ray, which was supposed to work with Max. Okay, or there are other render engines and other plugins that were made to work with Maya. So ganun lang siya, no? And another thing is, you guys might not agree if you're users of the other softwares, pero being Maya and TDS Max sila yung flagship, most of the functions are industry standards. Okay, we do recognize that there are other softwares around the industry that can also do 3D animation, 3D modeling, and so on and so forth. But if you take a closer look at them, they only get plus points in specific workflows or in specific parts of the workflow. For example, we have softwares that are more focused or that are keen on providing modeling tools, or din ang target nila, modeling, 3D modeling. Some, their focus is more into materials, into textures. Some into special effects, into what you call this, environments, yung mga sand, yan, yung mga fluids. So yun yung focus nila. So if we take that into consideration, they might win in some ways, pero all of those things na kung saan sila magagaling are currently present inside Maya or 3ds Max. Now, with the collection being involved, we're just simply adding value to those two flagship softwares of basically the industry. So you got one that is focused on animation, even though the two can provide animation, pero for motion capturing, Motion Builder can be utilized. Now with this, we'll be talking about Modbox. Alright, so the target naman niya is to provide the same thing na meron yung ZBrush tsaka si Substance Painter, without, of course, adding the cost if you're currently an M&E Collection subscriber. So last question, same siya sa Blender? Not necessarily. Blender is actually some sort of a direct competitor with Maya, but the thing about Blender is currently they're still on the verge of building the credibility and upping up their game. But I do understand that there are studios na preferred si Blender, but it's some sort of a preference, if I may. Kasi I've been into a lot of customers now with my 4 years in Autodesk, and basically larger companies opt to use Maya instead, or 3ds Max. So preference lang talaga siya. There are some game developers that are more into 3ds Max because of the way it can be programmed inside the software. Some might use Maya, okay, or same goes with the animation companies or our TV networks. They might opt to use 3ds Max because it's much more preferred by the users, or they can go with Maya because of its direct, much more direct tools for animation and 3D modeling. So it kind of differs, pagdating. Pero what's good is both are provided to us by simply using the M&E Collection. Okay, so kung wala na muna tayong mga questions, let's proceed with this one. So basically, if I create a new scene, I will be provided with multiple basic shapes na po pwede natin gamitin inside Modbox. So I do encourage you, kung meron kayo nito ngayon, i-try ninyo, walang problema. Kasi direct naman yung approach ng Modbox. You don't have to create your own, pero you may, or you can. Alright, so for example, if you would like to use Modbox in your workflows, pero gusto nilang siyang ma-involve sa sculpting, pwedeng-pwede. Kasi let's say, di naman namin need si Modbox for texturing or materials. Nandun na sa Maya yun or nandun na sa Max yun. So it's gonna be okay. Yun nga lang, for sculpting purposes, mas direct ang tools ng Modbox compared to the other flagship softwares. They may have sculpting tools, but it kind of lags on the things that it can do. Unlike kay Modbox, kompleto siya over here. So, hahatiin ko na lang muna sa tatlong phases itong ating session. So first off, I'll basically show you around the software. Another thing is categorize yung ating session. So one will be sculpting and one will be painting. Okay, sounds cool? All right, so first off, let's go with the navigation over here. So let me just open a cube. Ito lang muna yung gagamitin ko. And to tour around with the software, this is actually not the same as Maya and 3ds Max that would provide you multiple quadrants of viewports. Pero this is actually, a straightforward perspective view. So kung pwede nyo i-move around yung view cube ninyo to check with the object. Now, here comes the fun part. If you are actually a Maya user, same controls. You can press Alt and then left mouse button to revolve around your object. Press and hold Alt and press your scroll button in your mouse to pan with the object. And Alt plus your right mouse button and simply move your mouse for zoom in and zoom out. So parehas na parehas siya. Okay? In some cases, Modbox, or actually hindi some cases, if you open Modbox, it might ask you kung ano yung gusto ninyong preference for mouse control. So there can be 3ds Max or Maya. And I just forgot the other softwares, pero meron siyang iba't ibang options. Okay, so let's start. I'll first off tour you around within the interface. So first off, just like any other softwares, you have your menus up top. So you have your file, edit, yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-available kahit sa Microsoft ng mga softwares, meron yung dalawang yan. Now, under create, you can simply go in here and create other objects that you might like to add doon sa inyong current na object. So let's say, for example, if I go to mesh, meron siyang basic head, or again, just simply add basic shapes like sphere right here or plane na po pwede natin gamitin to further enhance the look of our meshes na present sa screen natin. Okay, so under create, you'll also have curves, cameras, lights. You have three. You have point and directional, which is one of those basics, and image based. So IBL is also present. So kung ang gusto ninyo is i-base ang ilaw ninyo sa sunset ng Manila Bay, walang problema po, pwede natin i-upload yung image and then doon magbe-base yung lighting ng buong creation natin. So you have materials also, and you can choose between Modbox material, your simple dream, again another Maya hidden Mickey, if I may. You have lit sphere material, and of course CGFX based material. So others are just selection set, tiling plane, and of course stencil. So later on in the discussion, we'll talk about stencils. Next, you have mesh, display, UV maps, render, and of course Windows and help. So over here, guys, you can see that the basic tools that you need in both texturing and sculpting are actually categorized into simple menus like this one. For example, hindi nyo makukuha ng maganda ang isang pag-project ng material kung mali yung UV na meron kayo. Correct? Or hindi nyo makukuha yung basic na shape na gusto ninyo or yung best possible projection ng texture na gusto ninyo dalhin kay Photoshop para ayusin palalo kung hindi maayos yung UV tech, yung inyong UV. Another thing is if you go to mesh, hindi magiging maayos ang presentation ng inyong objects kung hindi ninyo magagamit yung mga simple yet direct tools for 3D sculpting. So, importante dito, meron tayong retopologize. So, in a case na medyo makita ninyong sobra-sobra na yung pagkaka-edit nyo, you can just simply go to retopologize and then basically provide you the tool necessary to fix those broken topologies. Or kung gusto niyo mas ma-define yung topology, it's also a way to use that tool. By the way, if you're noticing there are some tools that are highlighted by green brackets like these, that specifically shows us what's new inside the version. Okay, so siguro naman kung Maya users kayo or 3ds Max, familiar na kayo sa viewport and sa inyong view cube. There's also the grid, but it's just a way that would be actually showing us yung ating floor. Now, if we go downwards, there goes your tools. Okay, it's separated between two different palettes. So we have the tools for modification or for sculpting, and then on the right side we have those that we need for materials and texturing. So first off, let's go with sculpt. With sculpt, basically the tools that are present over here are the tools that actually is direct in a way na yung mismong pangalan na nakalagay nila, yun lang talaga yung purpose nila. For example, if I go to, let's say, grab over here, and if I click on the object, mapapansin niyo nag-grab siya. Okay? So, with this, you can move around, pull one area, or kung ayaw niyo ng pull, if you want to push it back, it's possible. Okay, or let's go with other tools. Let's say, let me go back to this. Let's try sculpt. So easily we can do sculpting. So direct siya. And then with the newest version, it actually has a good range of tools like sculpt, smooth, relax, grab, up to redefining the topology. So aside from sculpt tools, we also have paint tools, which are very vital pagdating sa materials and textures. Alright, so later on, I'll show you kung paano gamitin, like for example, yung projection tool, which is actually the direct or the necessary tool para makita natin yung capability ni Modbox to provide materials and textures. So we have curve tools if you would like to create curvatures or guidelines, so pwede natin gamitin yan. if you have created, this might be used for animation as well. Pero this might be good for people who would like to create, a statue, or that if you would like to 3D print something or to post something, ito yung ginagamit. We can actually create and post our objects or our characters inside here. And we can provide weights para mas maging okay if we will be using it for animation. We can post it and directly, save it into a file type wherein we can direct it to a 3D printer and print whatever you created inside Modbox. Also, the tools will not be complete without your navigational tools. So you have selections like for faces, for objects, borders, and UVs. And of course, navigational tools like translate or move. And you have rotate, scale, and of course, a caliper for measurements, right? So from the tools, let's go with the materials, stamps, textures, stencils. So over here again, just like the tools, medyo na-categorize siya. So first off, we have stamps. So by the term stamp, ibig sabihin nun, isa-stamp natin yung gusto natin na material or texture. So let's try one. Let's go with this. Alright. So if you hover around, mapapansin nyo may malaki kayong brush dyan. So just like if you use Photoshop, if you use Paint, if you use Illustrator, and all of the other painting software or 3D painting softwares, meron kayong ganyan, and it all comes on the same loop like this one. So if you would like to try, pwede naman nating i-try ngayon. So to complete, the overall look, on the right side, this is the modifier panel. So it's also separated by sculpt and paint. So you can create layers for sculpt and layers for paint. All right. So sculpt is defined for basically the sculpture. Paint is defined if you're gonna be creating materials or textures inside Modbox. So let me check the question. Is there a certificate? Yes, Anna, a certificate will be given after or within the week. Within the week after this presentation. So it will be sent into your email addresses. Okay. So yeah, let me continue. So just a quick guide on how to use, first of all, brushes. To modify your brush, or basically to target a specific location, first off, camera view is important. So let me go in front. There you go. And then over here, this determines the size of the brush or the paint brush. Strength is kung gaano siya persistent pag tumama dun sa object. So I'll show you the difference. Let's try 100 size and strength is 15. So if I move it around, mapapansin niyo may changes. Okay. Now, if I, Control Z, just like Maya again. If I go to 20, all right, there you go. And then strength is 100. And if I move this, it's right there. Okay, or if I change from sculpt to paintbrush, and I use another stamp, there you go. Okay, so let me just go to front. All right. So another way is if you would like to use the stamps as a way to paint. Okay, so kanina pinakita natin siya for sculpting. Ngayon to paint naman. So you go to your paint tools, select paintbrush. Okay, and then go on your stamp range, and let's choose one. Let's go with This one was this. It's a rock. Okay. Now, if we click on an object, this one will appear. Ito yung ating way to determine kung ano yung gusto nating gawin inside kay Modbox. Okay, so this is one way to create this, or you can just simply go in here. Importantly, piliin niyo pong maigi kung ano yung gusto ninyong gawin dun sa object. So now we would like to paint. So let's go to the paint tab, right click, new layer, and then the same notification will appear. So with this one, you can name or rename. So let's try stamp 1. Okay, you can choose the image size. So let me go with 4096. You can choose your file type. So we have let's go with yeah, and of course the channel. So dito ngayon papasok yung capability for creating materials. So we have here the basics like diffuse, specular, gloss, up to reflection mask. So let's try to create diffuse first. Okay, so there's stamp 1, and then go. So you got one stamp over here. If we try to resize this to 100, there's your stamp. So basically, ini-stamp lang natin talaga siya. Pinakita nyo lang yung kanyang itsura. Problem with this is pag nag-enjoy po kayo masyado at hindi ganun ka-targeted, masisira yung inyong ginagawa. So, how could we address this kind of problem? So, if you go down, marami pa kayong iba't ibang tools na po pwedeng gamitin. So, one way to actually create a better result is the use of steady stroke. So, if you click on the checkbox, you can just simply click hold. You see the green line. It's gonna be very straight, like this. All right. So, kumbaga, mas guided kayo because of a steady stroke. All right. So, another thing for painting, we have stencils. Now, with stencil, the difference between stamp is stencil is gonna be used as a guide, no, para mas maging maganda yung inyong projection. Right? So let me just go back to the tools. Select projection. Okay, bakit projection? Kasi kailangan ma-project natin yung stencil. And then I'll go with stencil. And let's try to select brick. Right. So upon adding your stencil, you will be provided with the necessary shortcuts that you will need. So makikita niyo yan sa lower left ng screens ninyo if I'm looking at it the same way as you. So move stencil, paano natin siya move? Simply hold S and then middle mouse button. Okay, kung gusto ninyong i-align talaga sila, possible siya. Or, kung gusto niyo naman siyang i-rotate, pwede ninyong i-press naman, hold down R, and then, oops, sorry. Again, projection, stencil, okay. R, and left mouse button. Cancel. It's not rotate. Oh. Projection, and then Q, let me change my view, Q, and edit the stencil, cancel. Right, so ewan ko ba't hindi siya nag-rotate? There's probably Q. Okay. So, yeah. Another thing, so lagpasan na lang natin si rotate, ayaw nyo mag-rotate. S and right button to resize your stencil. So we can actually move this around and try to resize it in a way para mas ma-project natin siya ng maayos. I think let me just start with this. This might work. All right. So to hide the stencil, just simply press Q. Okay, ngayon kailangan natin si stencil. So dito muna siya. Right, so right click tayo ulit or let's just simply delete the first one para hindi masira yung ginagawa natin. Right click new. And again, first off, diffuse yung gagamitin ko. And then just simply go. Oops, masyadong malaki. So, ayun no, problem with this, kapag masyadong malaki yung size ng inyong brush, automatic nagre-repeat yung ginagawa ninyo na projection. So, my advice to you is to first off start with smaller brush tips. So, let's try 5. Okay, so for the strength, let's go with same number 5. So with this, ang una nating gagawin is to brush off na para ma-create natin yung ating stencil. So let me go with okay, so strength natin. Let's move this around 50. Project. I think I have to turn off stencil. There you go. So basically, kinuha lang natin yung picture ng brick as a way for us to be provided with this one. So problem lang is masyadong manipis yung ating nagawang projection. So let me put this to 100. I'll do another pass. And then let's check. Oops, sorry. There. I think that's much better looking. All right. So ano pa yung pwedeng gawin, no? So with stencils, you can adjust multiple parameters. So for example, inside projection, stamp spacing, you got your mirror if you would like to mirror it, if you would like to use a stamp image or not, pwede siya. Problem is, of course, kapag nag-create tayo ng stamp, kailangan ayusin din natin yung for stamping natin na tools. Alright, so with this, ito yung isa sa mga direct na approach with Modbox. Okay, so to create a much more detailed look, let me add another layer. So to add another layer, we have a new layer over here. And this time, tayo ay mag-create ng bump map. Okay, so for bump map, para mas ma-define naman natin kung sino yung nakaangat at saka kung sino yung nakababa or nakabaon doon sa ating pinoproject na material. Okay, so to approach bump mapping, just simply lessen the size of your brush dun sa size na gusto ninyong sundan niya. So let me scale this down to, let's say, 10. Masyado pa rin siyang malaki. Let's go with 7. Let's go with 6. And then strength is around 10. Okay, so first off, let's try with this small brick. So, tinurn on ko nga pala yung steady stroke. So, para hindi tayo maguluhan masyado. So, alright. So, if I turn off that one, and then if we check again, naka-on siya. There. So, if we zoom in, makikita natin na iba na yung look nitong isang brick. Oops, sorry. Iba na yung look ng isang brick compared to the other. Yung iba medyo flat pa, pero itong isa, medyo nakaangat na siya. Oops, sorry. Napull ko siya. Alright, so let's just, continue one straight path. So, paano naman, sir, pag naka-off yung steady stroke? So, if I turn off the steady stroke, we'll have a free form ng brush. So, if you can just play around with it. Alright, so if you take a look again, mapapansin niyo na iba na din yung look nung ibang area compared doon sa mga nasa baba. So medyo may basically parang nadagdag na tayo na depth doon sa ating ginagawa. So let's just continue on. Projection, stencil. So yun lang ang problem na zoom in natin. So let's readjust this. Okay, that's good. And tago din natin siya. Okay, so paano naman yung ibang area? No? So kung sa atin, kung kanina ang ginawa natin is naiangat natin yung ibang area, so bakit masyado siyang mataas? So pwede nating i-try naman yung cement sa pagitan nila. So itong cement, you can play around with a much larger na size ng, mas smaller na size ng brush or mas lower na strength ng brush. So pero for me, ang itatry ko is paano kung mas apaw pala yung semento. So ang gagawin ko, mas dadagdagan ko ng konti yung value niya. So let me adjust this to 4 maybe. Masyado pang malaki. 3, maybe 2. Ayan, okay. And then strength will be at 12. And I'll turn on steady stroke kasi may straight line siya. So let's go steady stroke. Click, hold, drag. Masyadong malaki. Baba natin ng 11. So, ayun, pagpasensyahan nyo na yung linya ko, no? Ang advisable talaga dito is kung meron kayong pen and tablet, that would be very awesome. Kasi mas makikita ninyo yung, mas magiging madali yung workflow dahil mas direct siya Kagaya kapag nagtitiis kayo, kagaya ko sa mouse. Kaya hindi ko masyadong makuha yung mga line. Another one over here. So again, if we go back and we try to check it out, mapapansin niyo na iba yung depth ng cement compared dun sa ginawa natin. Okay, so I'll continue with the second layer ng bricks, tapos nagdadagdag tayo ng isa pang layer para makita ninyo yung result. Again, let's do a straight line. Yung pala, no, if ever you're not satisfied with one pass of a brush, o pwede ninyong ulitin ulit. Pwede kayong maglagay pa ng isang pass ng brush. Let's say, for example, gaya nito, isang straight lang yung nagawa ko, pero gusto kong madama yung iba. So, pwede akong mag-create ng additional. Now, with the usage of the steady stroke, hindi po yung green ang basic na, kumbaga parang point ng inyong stroke, kung hindi yung point na to sa gitna ng bilog. The green line is basically an indication where we are leading yung ating brush na ginagamit. So, for example, the direction will be this way. So, pag nag-click, hold, and drag ako, dun yung direction niya. Okay? So, again, let's continue with the others. So, I'll go back over here. Medyo madumi lang yung pagkakagawa ko. There. So, again, I'll go back with the size kasi gusto kong ulitin itong nasa taas. So, let's go back to 6 and 10. Masyadong malaki pala ito. 4 pala yung gamit ko. Tanggalin natin yung steady stroke. Okay, so if we take a look over here, mapapansin niyo iba na yung textured nito compared dun sa image dun sa baba. So medyo hinati ko lang, no. On the first two layers, in-adjust na natin dyan yung diffuse tsaka yung, not necessarily diffuse, but yung bump map niya. So mas nakaangat na ngayon yung parts ng images na gusto niyo. Again, the approach over here is not like the approach of creating bump maps in Maya, wherein you just play around with 0 and 1. If you would like something to pop up, you make it as 1. If you want something that is gonna be much more deeper in the layer, 0 yung value niya. So dito, you actually have the better control kasi na-visualize ninyo. You're working with the image right on the object na meron kayo. Okay? So, try lang natin, no, ano pa ba yung ibang layers na meron dito. last na lang para makita nyo na yung result. So if we go to new layer again, just simply go to the channel and select specular. So the term specular is something na alam ko namang kung nagmamaya kayo or nag-3ds Max kayo is alam nyo na. It's a way wherein kung saan nakikita yung mga medyo nagsashine or yung mga medyo nagkakaroon ng light projection. Okay, so ang light projections natin dito is very controllable. Nakita nyo naman no, kung paano natin na-control yung direction ng bump map natin. Ang specular sa Maya and sa Max always depends on the specular that's provided by the render settings. So for example, sa material editor ng 3ds Max, again, you will provided with a very kind of technical way dahil it's just either 0 or 1 or the in between values na meron. Well, dito since it's kind of much more direct, kayo ngayon yung magdedesisyon kung ano yung gusto niyo tamaan ng ilaw, ano yung gusto niyo hindi tamaan ng ilaw. Dahil po pwede natin yung lagyan ng specular map natin. So let's try. So if I go over here, so since naka-expose tong mga area na to, so sila yung mga gusto kong tamaan ng lights. So you can use the default lighting as some sort of a guide, no? Although wag niyo na lang masyadong i-overdo kasi baka mamaya ma-wash out naman yung image natin. So let me try first. So one over here. Let's do another one. Another pass. And another one. So again, if I simply move around again, mapapansin niyo, if you compare the upper part doon sa lower part, iba yung dating ng specular kapag default lighting yung gamit natin or without the modifying the default material. Kung titingnan ninyo yung in-edit natin with all these 3 layers, mapapansin niyo iba yung pop nung mga naka-bump na map, yung mga naka-bump as well as yung mga diffuse natin because of the specular. So mas nakikita natin who's actually placed much more higher doon sa way natin of layering. Okay, so this is just some of the things na pwede ninyong gawin in Modbox. So let me just check the question. Sorry, wala palang question. Anyway, yeah, so the question earlier asked if pwede ba nating ma-save yung mga materials na gagawin natin. So actually po pwede po, no? So let's say for example, if I go over here sa bump map, right click on the paint layer, over here, marami tayong iba't ibang choices kung paano natin isi-save yung material na ginawa natin or texture na ginawa natin. So first off, we have over here choices between export layer mask, export selected, export group, merged if ever you've merged multiple objects, or you can export your channel or ito yung ginamit natin na channel na to for Photoshop or PSD file format. Another thing is if you would like to export is as from a normal map into a bump map. So for example, let's try to export selected first, or let's try export just select export selected. Okay, so wait, if I select this and rename this to bump, where did I save it? Desktop. Let me check with the desktop. Let's go with brink bump. So, ayun lang. Hindi lang natin siya mapansin kasi white siya. No? Hindi natin na-define yung iba. But if you zoom it in, ito yung bump map. So, again, hindi siya ganun kaayos sa pagkakagawa natin. Pasensya na. No? Pero, vaguely nakikita ko yung bump na areas. So, this results into or this is a result dun sa ginawa natin na paspasan na pag-create ng bump map. And at the same time, yung ginawa kong hindi pag-modify ng brush where masyadong magkalapit yung value. Imagine I played with values around 6 and 4 and 10 and 11 for the strength of the brush. So yun hindi masyado nakita yung difference. However, if we focus around here, makikita natin na meron na tayong area. I think I've made multiple passes dito ng paintbrush kanina. That's why it kind of appears. Now, for comparison, ito yung diffuse map natin. Right about here. So again, paspasan siya, pasensya na. But this is the same map na meron tayo. Ngayon, paano sir kung gusto naming magdagdag ng sarili naming mga pictures or materials, textures that were provided by clients or the other departments. So there are multiple ways. So first off, you can just simply select kung which category nyo gustong ilagay yon. For example, let's say stencil pa rin. You simply select itong arrow na to sa baba, click, and then add stencil. If you select that, automatic pwede kayong maghanap ng image around your computer. Another thing is you go to your documents folder over here. So ito yung medyo technical naman na side kung paano magdagdag ng pictures. So you go to documents, select Modbox 2022, data, and then there you go, stencils, stamps. So yan yung mga pwede nating paglagyan ng images. So let's go with thumbnails. Ito siya. Now, so gusto niyo maglagay ng multiple pictures, pwede yan dyan. Okay? So questions regarding painting, meron ba? Okay, kung wala naman, just a quick show para sa pag-sculpt naman sa loob ng Mudbox. So let's just simply create a basic head. Alright, so papakita ko lang yung capacity natin to create detailed sculptures. So like most of the other 3D softwares around, we're playing with topologies, we're playing with polygons. So ito yung mga nakita natin na graph lines dito sa image natin. So you've also seen kung paano i-modify yung paintbrush pag nag-stencil tayo or nag-stamp. What's good about Modbox is hindi nagdi-differ yung parameters from sculpture to paintbrushes. Okay? Another thing, kung gusto ninyong mas makita yung, kung kaya ng computer ninyo, pwede nating nagdagdagan yung ating mga polygon levels. How? If I go to edit, to mesh, and then if I go right about here, there's this term step level up, or the next one is step level down. So ano yung difference ng dalawa? May shortcut keys siya na page up tsaka page down. So let me show you. Page up. Page up. Yeah, okay, sorry, hindi ko nakaselect yung object. There, page up. Page up. Ayaw mong ma-select. Ako po yung computer ko. Patay tayo. Nag-lag na tayo. Okay, hindi ko na muna siya i-level up kasi ayaw na niyang mag-respond. Okay, there. So, for now, siguro I'll show to you na lang kung paano natin siya i-adjust using the sculpt tools. Remember, earlier I've shown kung paano natin ina-adjust yung sizes ng paintbrush natin for usage of materials and textures. Now, the same principle applies pagdating sa sculpting. Okay, so again, you can also create new layer if you want. At least Control D nyo yung nag-a-adjust, and then once you create another layer, hindi na masisira yung first layer na ginawa ninyo. So let's say for example, you would like to define itong eyeline na to. Okay, so there are multiple ways. First off, you can just simply use, let's go with bulge over here. Okay, so problem, nag-bulge siya na ganyan pero sira, sabog. It's because hindi nagko-compensate yung size tsaka yung strength ng ating brush. So if Control Z natin yan, let's make this a little bit lower. There. So, baba pa natin ang konti. 4:4. There. So, again, problem with this is na-adjust nyo pero isang area lang. Paano ngayon yung kabila? Ang alam namang ulitin natin ang ulitin, di ba? Problema, hindi na magpapantayan. So, what we can do is use the mirror tool. Ito siya. So there are multiple projections, no? Just like in Maya and 3ds Max. So let's try the basic one, which is X. So pag makikita ninyo, once activated, magiging dalawa yung point, and it would actually start from where you click, automatically mirrored siya doon sa kabilang side. So for example, let's start with this area. Click, hold, drag. Click, hold, drag. Click, hold, drag. Hanggang sa makuha ninyo yung gusto ninyo. Another, let's play around. Let's go with grab naman. With grab, we can just simply pull out objects from each areas. But this time, the variation of the brush should be maybe in some ways mas effective dapat dahil dinedeform natin yung object natin. So we can just simply resize this. Let's go with 8 maybe. Let's go with 10. Too small pa rin. 15. So kung gusto niyo medyo yung cheek palabas, pwede yan. Yung i-deform yung kanyang ears. So basically, this is a glorified way to play around with clay dough. Kung nag-alala niyo mga clay, so ito lang din yun. Now for those 3D artists na attendee natin today, hindi to way ng pandaraya, hindi to way para mapabilis yung ginagawa natin. What we're kasi this can be easily transferred to a Maya file, and then pwede nyo gawin yung magic nyo doon. However, just like all other softwares, if you play around with much larger polygons, syempre magko-compensate yung file size niyan. Ibig sabihin, the more polygons na involved, the much more larger file size would be involved. However, since we're working within the Autodesk umbrella, which is Modbox and Maya or Modbox and 3ds Max, it's gonna be an easy way kasi if you go around with the file menu and select just simply send to Maya, and send selected as new scene. I just don't know if I click select model, file, send to Maya. Let's just wait until Maya would open. So again, while we're waiting with na magbukas yung Maya, no, it just simply shows kung gaano tayo or how are we missing out with Mudbox, no? It's a way for us to actually work faster kasi we can move around with just simply one click and not to export, import, export again. Although hindi ko sinasabing malaking trabaho yung pag-import, pag-export, but it's just the seamless way on how we work with multiple Autodesk licenses that we have, specifically sa under ng M&E Collection. Mas magiging smooth yung ating workflow. So, yep, we got a question. Mas convenient ba kapag tablet ang gagamitin? Yes, I agree 100%. Kahit yung mumurahin na yung mga lower class or lower models ng pen and tablet, it would be very helpful, lalong-lalo na for creating well-detailed objects, not just with painting, but specifically I'm talking about sculpting. Doon nyo mas makikita yung advantage as well as yung value na pen and tablet sa inyo. Kasi mas, kumbaga, imagine your drawing sa papel, parang ganun yung dating niya. Or kung nakapag-try kayo na mag-sculpt, ito yung parang way para mas maramdaman ninyo na mag-sculpt talaga kayo. Kasi parang may tool kasi kayo na hawak and much direct, kumbaga, yung pag-modify ng object as well as the polygons inside into specific locations. Yun nga lang, just have to try and train yourself better na to move around with the pen and tablet kasi minsan medyo mahirap yung adjustment lalo kung bago kasi di ba sanay tayo na yung papel tinitingnan natin direkta, not unlike here na iba yung titingnan mo, ganyan ka ng screen tapos doon ka nag-a-adjust or nag-move around with your pen and tablet. So antayin lang natin mag-load yung Max. Hindi talaga yung laptop. Nalalapit na talaga ang pag-upgrade dito. So, also remember na hindi porket naglagay tayo ng isang object, regardless if it came from Maya or 3ds Max, and we import it to Modbox, it doesn't necessarily that we have to stay within that object. If you would like to add multiple objects or okay, so we have here our model. So yun lang, no, hindi siya ganun ka perfect, but if we smooth this one out, this is how it looks like. Okay. Sir, question. Nilagay ko sa Maya pero hindi ako satisfied. Can I still go back to Modbox? Pwedeng-pwede. You just simply select the model again, file, and then right over send to box over here. So there's send to Modbox, and then you'll be able to choose between send as a new scene or update a current scene. Both would work perfectly, but at the same time to actually avoid any issues, you might as well send it as a new scene para magbuka siya ng bagong file. At least you won't experiences times na ba't naging dalawa yung character ko or naging dalawa yung ganito ganyan na object. At least that would be avoided. Okay, so another question. What required file size must be recommended, especially for RAM specifications? Well, For the RAM specifications, hindi naman ganun ka straightforward, I guess. I mean, ganun ka heavy siguro, but let's try to check. Autodesk Modbox system requirements. Here you go. So just like the normal requirements, so 4 gig of RAMs would do, pero would do lang yon, not necessarily magiging okay yung lahat. No, the 4 gigs of RAM basically just would make it open and work. But when you add up multiple objects, add up a larger amount of polygons, 4 gigs of RAM would basically be a bottleneck sa workflow mo. So 8 gig or more would be recommended, pero with this day of age and the GPUs, and then how fast it progresses pagdating sa graphics, 8 gigs will most likely is gonna be just entry level. You try to invest to 16 gig and up. So I think mas better na yun. Kasi di ba, like, let's say for example, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, ang entry level na video card is 4 gig. Pero ngayon, pag tumingin ka, meron ng yung lowest version na RTX is at 6 gig already. So pataas na sila ng pataas. So kailangan din nating sumabay para at least yung mga ginagawa natin, yung ating mga, whether you're into television shows or big screen productions, at least we won't get left behind pagdating sa quality na ginagawa natin. And of course, you'll also be saving time kasi most likely this is gonna be working much more faster compared to what you'll be doing a year or 2 years ago. Another thing is the presence of the Arnold render engine, which provides you the choice between using it to render through your CPU or to your GPU. So again, you'll have a much more larger range of choices kung paano natin itatakal itong mga softwares na to para mapagsama-sama natin sila. Now, with those setups, hindi lang yun for 3D, no? You can also use that for your other softwares like for video editing or sound processing, or for image editing or manipulation. Pwede nyo gamitin yun. For image manipulation, baka sobra pa yun. But it would be basically will become a safety net kasi hindi nyo ma-experience yung mga naglalag or yung mga nagka-crash yung mga softwares. Same goes with Autodesk, of course. Alright, so again, any other questions? Meron pa ba tayong mga questions? If wala na po tayong questions, no, again, thank you for attending this webinar. If you would like to know more about specific workflows with Modbox and how it works with Autodesk's other media and entertainment softwares, please do let us know. You can reply din sa mga email na send namin, or we can you can contact us to our social media platforms or our email addresses. At least we can schedule a webinar or a team meeting with you through Microsoft Teams. All right. So again, if you have any other questions, you can raise it out, and we'll be glad to answer it.
So yun, maraming salamat po ulit sa pag-attend ng simpleng webinar namin today, discussing Modbox. So we would also like to invite everybody. We have another webinar that will be coming this April 21 and actually on April 26. So on April 21, if you would want to know more about the Autodesk software, please help us and please join us. You can register. We will be sending the site also through your emails. So hopefully you can join us also. That will be entitled Let's Win with Subscription. On April 2022 naman, we will be having another webinar that will be about the AEC collection. And our presenter over there will be our technical engineer for AEC. So yun po. So a lot of you has been asking about the e-certificates. Yes, we will be providing an e-certificate together with the handout. So we will be also, we have recorded this session. So if you would want to watch again yung you could go back to that recording and refer to your colleagues as well. So the only requirement for your e-certificate is to fill up the form that we have over in our chat box. So without you filling out the survey form, no e-certificate will be sent over to you. So ayun. So we will be also flashing it sa screen. So ayan, the QR code, you can also scan it over para makita ninyo ang to fill that survey out, and then we can forward your e-certificates. Okay. So again, I would like to invite everybody while you're filling out your surveys to our next webinar on April 21. Okay. So ayun, we are always open for more questions, and if you have clarifications, and if you will be needing also to schedule a training for your own company or for your school actually, you can message us and we can talk about that details. We also offer free trainings over here at WSI. Okay? If you have any questions, please send back your chat, or please use the chat box para makuha po namin yung mga questions ninyo. Ito, here, kindly send the link of the feedback. Ayan. So, we forwarded it again. Ayan. So, hopefully, everybody gets to answer the survey form, or you can also scan it sa ating QR code. So, ito siya. Okay. Ayun, we also have other webinars. Please also do sign up for that. As I said, April 21, that's Let's Win with Subscription. That we will be talking about yung subscription plans that Autodesk offers. And April 23. April 23, yung Let's Win with Subscription webinar namin. Here we will be talking about the different plans and licenses that Autodesk offers. So if you're purchasing team, or you are interested about the different subscription plans and the different licenses Autodesk offers, please do visit and please do register in that webinar. Okay. So is there any other questions? Ayan, maraming salamat po ulit. Also, once na-fill up nyo na yung survey form, please do expect that someone from our marketing team will be contacting you to coordinate with you. Kasi not just, we are not only giving out a survey form after this and a certificate, we also actually have a special token that is specially for you. So once you complete the survey form, please do keep your lines open so that you will know what that token is. Okay. Once again, everybody, this has been LG Alfonso and Sir Jason Miguel Brenal. Thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you soon. Goodbye, everyone.